Ukubashikosu bitikunim, as it says in the Tikkunei Zohar. What does it say there? Listen to this. The Ihu means Hashem, Ihu. Stimu dechol stimen is the secret of all secrets. Pirush, the Alter Rebbe explains this statement. Ta'afilu ba'almen stimen deleile, even in the hidden, secret, supernal worlds. Husasa v'nelim b'toichem, God's also hidden from them. Don't think that those angels and those celestial beings and those holy souls that are up there have more of the essence of God than we do. No, they don't. They are in as much of a fog as we are. I'm paraphrasing. Why? Because no thought can grasp him, can grab God, even in the upper worlds. There's only one way you can grab Hashem. Chevra, you know what that is? By putting on your tefillin and a mezuzah and visiting someone, doing a mitzvah. You grab him that way. I don't care anything else. It's a nice fascination, a nice coloring. It sounds good. It's exciting. It feels good. But you're not grabbing him. You're really grabbing yourself. Because you like this fascination, this excitement, this party. Right? What did Rabbi Adin Steisel say? Come to a Farbrengen, because a Farbrengen is a nice Hasidic party. So you have nothing to be scared of. You'll have popcorn, tea, scotch, vodka, beer, some nice singing, soulful singing, and nice words, and you'll feel great. That's very true. Someone has themselves not on mute. Please mute yourself. You don't need to mute yourself, please. So the Nakuda is that don't think that Elyonim, the ones up there, the angels, etc., have grab more of God. They don't. Because less machshava tfisa beklal. Less machshava tfisa beklal. Now, Chevre, this thought, you see, if this thought was realized by all of us, and by everyone in Mei Yesharim, or in Geula, or in all of the yeshivas learning, as we've discussed, it would be a different type of learning. I'm not saying they would become Hasidim, but it'll be a different type of learning. Less machshava tfisa bei. The person who comes into a shul and breaks their teeth saying Kaddish for a parent because they weren't raised saying Kaddish is just as close, if not closer, to God than the one who's been steiging in yeshiva for 10 years. But if you say that to them, they'll think you're a heretic. But when you learn this piece of Tanya, quoting the Zohar HaKadosh, less machshava tfisa bei, Elyonim and Tachtoinim. So the Elyonim would be those that are in yeshiva for 10 years. Tachtoinim are those that were, didn't have yeshiva experience, just giving an example. And what does the Zohar say? Less machshava tfisa bei. But what do you mean? I've been learning all my life. If it's very good that you're learning all your life, and you should continue learning. But remember that when it comes to God's essence is not in your pocket because you learned 10 years. And he's not in the other person's pocket because he didn't learn 10 years. Hashem is to everyone, and Hashem is available to everyone. And the essence of the soul is everyone's. So therefore, you continue learning and learn with humility. And you that hasn't learned, start learning and share your menschlichkeit, your humanity and decency with everyone, including those who are learning. And then we'll have a nice sandwich. We'll have a nice relationship where people will learn from each other and people won't disqualify each other. I'm Elyonim, I'm better, I'm higher, I'm, greater. And the other is Tachtoinim. So this is all part of it. Let's continue. Wait, no, I got to finish a few lines. You give me 2 minutes, please. V'nimtza k'moishem matzu shom What we understand from this Zohar is that the way God is found in the upper, in Del Yoinim, kach nimtza b'tachtoinim mamish. So he's actually found here below. Hashem is as much below on the beaches of Venice Beach as he is in the heaven with the angels. So what's the difference? Between the upper worlds and the lower worlds, and that's the answer. How much of God's manifestation is revealed? It's called Gilui HaHelem, revelation from the concealment. So we have a term used in Chassidus called Or. Or is different than Shefa. Shefa, when water is given, it's called Shifas Mayim, the flow of water. When water flows, it leaves its space, its place, and it comes down to us. Or a shemesh, the sunlight that you guys have now, I understand, in Eretz Yisrael, and is there any diminishing of the sunlight that it shines where you are, and by us it's cloudy here and things like that? No. Why? Because there's a difference between what we call the influence of Or and Shefa. So Druka, you'll discuss this with your Chaver Sholem in North Miami, and I'm sure he'll give you a whole lecture on it, because I'm not giving a lecture on that now. Just briefly, the difference between Or and Shefa. Let's take a teacher and a student, Rav and Talmud. Rabbi, Rav, teacher, Talmud, student. When a teacher desires to teach a student, he or she, this teacher, need to contract their broad knowledge and then communicate what they want in that amount that they're going to share. And guess what? That amount of knowledge leaves its place and it enters the world of student. We call that Shefa. And guess what? To do that, you get tired. To give a shir on a chapter like this takes me a lot of time to prepare, because I need to, A, understand it myself, B, find the words and the thoughts how to teach it to you guys, you chevra, right? So when you do that, it's what we call an hisaskut, like asek. It's toil, it's energy, and you get tired. It knocks you out. In a good way, but it's, right? Let me ask you, when's the last time the sun got tired from shining? Never. You know why? Because the way the sun shines, Chaim Zev, is in a way of b'derech b'meila, automatically. It doesn't involve itself in the shine. It says, I am here, the fireball, the sun. The sun comes up, go. It goes automatically. That means that it doesn't take involvement. And that's why it shines all over, equidistant and all over. On a place of garbage, when it's shining on the garbage, but the garbage smells. Why are you shining on the garbage? Because that's what sun does, it shines. And it doesn't discern between schmutz and clean and cleanliness. So the Alter Rebbe says that the difference so the Alter Rebbe says that when we talk about the way Hashem permeates and radiates the world, it's in a way of Or. The difference becomes by the receivers. So the garbage doesn't do anything, right? When it gets too hot, we put on the air conditioner, or we close the blinds, or we walk in the shade. So all of those things are Gilui Me'ahelem, a revelation from a concealed state. But that's all it is. There's no change in the very sun. So too, there's no change in the very core essence of Hashem. The fact that we interpret and we adapt in a certain way to God's revelation, that's us uncovering the God within us and within the world and how we relate to it, which is fine, but it doesn't change God. This is what we've learned today. With Hashem, tomorrow we'll learn more. Yes, Yohidi, what do you want to say?
So in what we were discussing before about the angels and about how someone, if he learns, he's not a learner, if he does chesed, we live in today's times where, and we're all guilty of it, especially more maybe in the film world, but there's such an emphasis on yichus. And who we're going to marry into, and this one learns, and this one doesn't learn, and this and that. And it seems like we're missing this aspect of Tanya in this very real subject, this real, everyday thing.
All I can tell you is that the Rebbe, the Lubavitch Rebbe, when people, Lubavitchers, Chabadniks, wrote to him, there's a proposal for my son or my daughter in this family, that family, and they indicated to the Rebbe, but it doesn't have the yichus where I come from, where my family comes from. And the Rebbe took his little pencil, the Rebbe would use a pencil till it became like this, and he would cross it out with a big X. And the Rebbe sometimes answered, Avraham Avinu didn't have yichus either. But listen, there's nature, there's culture. I could say that in Chabad, there's been a big change in that area for the good. Where many kids, who are marrying, who come from Bali Tshuva parents, are marrying children from families of long line Chabad and Hasidim and all that. So there's been a change. At the same time, to completely invalidate yichus as something important with a one before the zeros. The zeros only become important if there's a one in front of them, and the one is the person. So in different cultures, in different communities, this as you said, this is an issue. Marrying people who are ben Torahs. They learned in Lakewood or in Panovich 20 years or whatever. They need a certain family, and you have the same thing in Rebbe families. Where their grandchildren from Hasidic Rebbes, they need to marry into a granddaughter of another Hasid or a great granddaughter. It's not. It is and it is. It's not like they didn't learn Tanya. I mean, it's not about learning Tanya. It's about understanding this concept that we're discussing. But it takes work, and it's not easy. You have to always understand the other side. You have to understand, and the more humble you are, the more honest you are, and you work on yourself, then things become clearer. But it's work. It's work, and it's hard work, and it's and not everyone goes that way. Not everyone goes that way. Listen, you had a wonderful, great Talmud Chacham in Bet Shemesh, the Rav, Rabbi Malinowitz. We spoke about this many times, and he was a Litvische Jew. He wasn't a Hasidic Jew, but if you knew him and you saw the way he dressed, and you saw everything about him, he had a great humility. He didn't identify with the shtick, but he was a hardcore Litvak and a Bucky probably in Shas. But you see, the personality, the person, it's up to the person. It's not about what community you belong to. I met someone in a flat b'shul who's a Rebbe in Chaim Berlin. Okay, that's Yoni's one of Yoni's yeshivas, Chaim Berlin. You know, and he says to me, my kids say, his kids go to Lakewood. He says, my kids tell me, why do you come into a Lubavitcher shul? It's not good for our shidduchim. That's what he tells me. And he used to go to the Rebbe. So I saw that he was kind of, was pretty serious, so I said to him, are you going to allow your kids to? Obviously you're not, because I met him in a Lubavitcher shul. I was there for Shabbaton. But look, don't you realize how false that narrative is? It's a shidduch is from heaven. And if someone doesn't want you as a shidduch because your father goes into a Lubavitcher shul, you shouldn't even want them. Run the other way. Yeah, so there is unfortunately a lot of this happening, and it's throughout. It's not just Litvaks or Chassidim or Sfardim. It's the whole makeup. And what I can say is learn from the Rebbe. The Rebbe was a Yid who wasn't involved in these things at all. That's what made him and makes him someone who so many people of different kinds, and even more so today after his passing, almost 30 years, is because he was pure in these areas. Really, he had no agendas. He really had no agendas. Yes, when the Toldos Aaron Rebbe came to him in 1963, or the Belzer Rebbe came to him in 1981, he encouraged them to introduce the study of Chassidus in their yeshivas. And he said, you don't want to learn Tanya? Learn more of a Shemesh. Learn another sefer, Naim Elimelech. I'm not telling you what Chassidus to learn. You're not Lubavitchers. You don't have to learn a Chabad sefer. But Chassidus is Baal Shem Tov. And you are Chassidim. That's what you say. Toldos Aaron. Chassidim. Bells. Chassidim. So, study Chassidus. Teach, Chassidus to your students. But again, that was because he believed if you're Chassidim of the Baal Shem Tov, you ought to learn Chassidus. Otherwise, what's the difference between this approach and the non-Chassidic approach? They don't learn Chassidus, they learn Musar, which is wonderful. But the Baal Shem Tov introduced the additional idea of learning Chassidus. No, but it wasn't a personal agenda. Or someone came into the Rebbe, he had a beard, he didn't have a beard, he wore this color yarmulke, or he wore no yarmulke. I mean, today you could see a little bit of this on video, but I grew up with this. You know what I'm saying? I saw this with my own eyes, and I heard it, and I smelled it. It was so palpable, so palpable. So I'm just saying that, and I'm sure there's even amongst the Litvische Gedolim and Sephardic Chachamim, and Hasidische, every community, and those are people who we should learn from. Like an Amshanover Rebbe. I can't imagine, I told you I've spoke to him several times. I can't imagine that he would, push his agenda on others. A Jew comes to him, he talks to him, he tries to advise him, he asks him, and so that's it. Anyway, guys, have a great day, everyone. We'll see everyone tomorrow, B'Shem. A good touch. Bye-bye, good Shabbos, bye-bye, whoever's leaving.